I'm gonna be cleaning the bottom of the boat. That's pretty much all we're doing right now. That's
Why?
what we're getting ready for. Because it's ugly.
Is it hairy?
Hairy.
There's a line on the side? Okay.
And we're actually not cleaning the bottom. We're cleaning like the first foot that's below the water line because that's really hairy and green and all that.
Carter.
Current's really strong today, so I am sitting in the dinghy in case the kid gets washed out or whatever. The wind is really high. It's like 20 knots. It's going to be 20 knots for the next couple days. So we're just going to sit here and enjoy doing projects on the beach. We went out to the sandbar today, and it was a terrible dinghy ride to get back. We call it a chippy ride because once when we were in Georgetown with Mrs. Chippy, another buddy boat of ours, we hit some high waves in the dinghy, and so we always call it a chippy ride. But I'm just watching my family clean the bottom of the boat.
The reason why we have this in the water is so if the cats fall in, they can grab onto something to lift themselves out. As well as the animals that we also see under here are, we have 2 suckerfish on the bottom of our boat, both decent sizes, and some crabs on the seafloor, and acorn jellies. They're jellyfish about that big, don't sting at all. Just more of an annoyance than anything.
I took the boys to Cruiser's Beach to hang out, while Chris stayed on the boat to finish some projects.
My arms are buried.
On our way back to the boat, we needed to be towed. Our dinghy had stopped working.
Our dinghy just suddenly stopped working while we were going at it, and it was because there was water in the fuel, so we're emptying the fuel tank back into here.
Yeah, we had just put this fuel in yesterday, and this tank or jerry can has seen better days. So I'm wondering if we got some fuel in it, there's some water in it. Switch it out. Let's see how she does. Let's go for a ride upwind. That way if it dies, it'll blow us back.
Well, it seemed Chris fixed the dinghy, and then he and Carter were running into town, and they're stuck somewhere over here now.
Oh, nope, they're moving.
And now they're moving, so we'll see. I stayed here with the kids just in case that were to happen. I didn't want my kids left on the boat alone.
And it died again.
And it died again.
Well, they're going to have to make their way back.
Yep, I guess they're going to have to, I don't know, we'll figure it out.
It's all fine.
You guys still gonna put the mat in?
Yeah, we're still gonna put the mat in.
She ran good. She ran great actually. On the way over there, she died one time. I think it was probably just because there was still some water in the fuel line. And she gave me like half throttle for a minute, and then we got all that passed through the system, and she ran great. Good to go now.
What are you doing?
Careful, you're going to tear it open on the handle of that.
Yeah. Try to get it over.
Push it down. Always want to go swimming. Play with the mat.
And so does Mommy.
So does Mom.
I love my mat.
Thank you again, Lilypad, for sending us this. It has been amazing to play with. I was hoping it would pull you in.
Oh. She's underwater.
That looks so weird. They're all like flapping.
She's 90.
I know most people want the first one, but these are second. Is that cool?
Alright. I'm gonna open this.
Let him do it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of...
Talking from our aft.
So today we want to talk about the differences we've experienced cruising different times of the year.
The different seasons. And
Because-
then also at the end we want to talk about all of our projects.
Yeah, but we've cruised every single month of the year in the Bahamas except for
September.
Was it August?
August.
Except for August. Because we got into the Bahamas at the very end of September, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing we've noticed, and again, I think every year can change from year to year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
As we've been told, this year is exceptionally stormy, but our understanding was winter's windy.
Like January, February, March is windy northerlies is what they're called.
Yeah, well, even like November, December, right?
Yeah.
And then spring can be calmer, and early summer can be calmer, and then you've got your hurricane season, which comes in the summer to late summer and early fall.
Right.
We thought we would like cruising in the summer better because it's supposed to be more settled. We've decided we do not.
We don't like cruising in the summer. For me, it's because there's no other cruisers here. So every other boat that we see is a charter boat.
Yeah, they're like people are here for a week, 2 weeks, and gone.
Like you would on your vacation, your summer vacation, you would either do a bareboat charter, stay in a hotel, rent a
boat.
excursion boat, whatever. I mean, I have seen more excursion boats everywhere, and every tourist I see, like they're here for a week, and that's great. Bahamas are amazing, but it's a little bit back to like the loneliness of like every cruise like area we're in again. I'm like, oh, there's one other boat, and they're just retirees. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm like, no other kid boats. So,
Which is funny because you think summertime there'd be more kid boats, but they're different. It's your long-term cruisers that come in the winter.
yeah, but it's also because a lot of people, their insurance tells them they have to be back in the States by June 1st.
That is
Ours
true.
does not tell us that, so we thought we could come in the summer.
I don't like it because we thought we'd like it being calm, but because it's calm or there's no steady winds, it's always hot and stagnant and muggy, and we have run the generator so much for air conditioning.
Every night we run it for air conditioning.
Because it's just miserable.
Well, not only is there no wind, but there's always a chance of thunderstorms, and it's Like those pop-up thunderstorms, living in Florida, it's every afternoon there's a pop-up thunderstorm. That's the same with here. And even though the waters might be settled, those thunderstorms can shear off massive winds and waves. So it's more of, I would say, a crapshoot.
Yeah, it's
like you don't even know what you're gonna get.
In the winter, it was more steady. Like you watch the front come through, you'd have a couple days of good weather, you'd move, and then you'd tuck in for another week or two and have another front, and then you'd have another good couple days. So it was more like a rhythm. Like you could find a rhythm.
Yeah.
The other thing is, in the evening, it just doesn't cool off here.
No,
it just
it
stays
doesn't.
warm. Versus in the wintertime, it drops another 10, 15 degrees, and you've got the steady breeze.
Yeah.
And so it made it more
Yesterday we went to a sandbar out over this way, and the water was so hot.
It was uncomfortably warm.
Like hot tub hot, like at least 100 degrees, because it was shallow. We were right by a sandbar.
But it was. You
was
got in and
so hot.
You walked and you're like, ooh, this is kind of warm. It's hot. I don't like.
And it's like there was no coolness to it. Not that we're complaining. It was still absolutely wonderful and beautiful.
It was different. That's the whole point.
It's different, and we were not. You know what we heard about the summers? It's like Jurassic Park. You're gonna have mosquitoes and bugs everywhere. Bring bug spray,
Yeah.
which I haven't actually noticed. It's much different from the spring and winter. Like the bugs are always there. I think the bugs are the same.
So I think it's more. It's because of the stagnant, more settled, other than the storms.
Mm-hmm.
People notice them more in the wintertime. We figured out that you moved on calm days. One, because it was calm, and two, because it was buggy on land on calm days.
Yeah.
And then when it was windy, you wanted to be tucked in. It wasn't comfortable to move around on windy days, but it was a great day to go for a hike because it was so windy. It would blow the bugs away, and they really wouldn't bother you unless you were like in some like dense forest that the wind couldn't penetrate.
Right.
But so again, you kind of, when you couldn't do one thing, you could do the other in the winter, and it seemed to work out really nice.
Now, with that being said, we've talked to a couple cruisers, and they've all said that this is an exceptionally wet summer.
Yeah, more storms than normal.
So maybe it's the El Nino, La Nina, whatever. But regardless, as far as how many cruises are here, I think that would be more steady, that most people kind of head out April, May, June, and summertime is all charter boats. Which, get a charter boat. They're fun. We've talked about it. And I'm like, man, that does look like a lot of fun having someone else like tote you around everywhere and not really having any responsibilities.
I do think insurance is the biggest thing for that.
Yeah.
Most people's boat insurance. If you're not from Florida, they usually give stipulations that say, this is when you can and can't be in the hurricane area.
Right.
Versus if you live in Florida, you're already in the hurricane.
We already pay for it, so.
Let's talk about some projects we got going on. So, we knew our experience in the wintertime was we would move between weather, and so we figured we'd be stuck at anchor for a week or so.
Right.
And you see 2-3 days in an area, it tends to be fine, and then you're like, I'm bored, and so we said, well, let's bring projects.
When you only want to sit out in the heat so many days, you know, it's just like, we've done 3 days out at the pink sand beaches, which are amazing, but I'm like, golly, like our bodies are not kissed by the sun, they're like
roasted,
torched and burned. So.
But we bought, and the other thing is that when I'm at home working on other people's boats, I got to work on their boats to make a living as opposed to
working on
our boat. And so we said, you know what, we had some projects set aside, some paint projects and some interior stuff. So we've managed to tackle some of that as well, which has been kind of nice.
It's been nice to get it done, as well as like this week's video is maybe a little boring because on top of the projects we're trying to do, we still have to clean the bottom of the boat, clean the AC strainers, like we still have to do chores.
If you want, Mai Tais and cocktails and butler service, go get a charter boat.
Get a charter boat.
And rent it for the week or two and then go home. But when you're actually live aboard, you still got to take care of normal everyday life, and people glamorize that. They're like, "Oh, you must have an amazing, wonderful. It must be nice."
Sure, it's still chores.
You still got to live.
It's the best views I could ask for, but it's still chores.
Otherwise, your boat just deteriorates. Kids still got to be forced to get off tech. All that kind of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. We really appreciate you guys watching.
Thank you.
For those of you that have joined us on Patreon, we really appreciate that. If you'd like to keep up to date with us live and see where we're at, you can go to our Patreon website and check that out. Was it wanderingnaps.com? Patreon.com?
/wanderingnaps.
Yeah, something like that. And then
enjoy the journey.